let's get into discussion. You guys ready? I know I am. You ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. All right, Dante. So, The Brutalist heavily explores themes of isolation and resilience. How do these themes reflect broader social societal struggles on historical moments?
Well, I think that what the film does really well, it shows that how a post-war immigrant, at like the challenges that they went through, at like especially coming to America, because he wasn't taken seriously because we're from where he's from, and he already faced a certain prejudice. And I think what makes it so brilliant is that he's a genius. A lot of people question his genius, and by the end of the film, he proves to everyone that he not only is he a genius, he can follow through on all his projects and follow through on all his visions despite what like his employer thought, despite what his wife might have thought, despite what the rest of the world might have thought. I think what's important is that again, like the resilience is there, and plus, like taking place in Philadelphia, I think was very important because Philadelphia itself is an underdog city. Even though, hey, we just won the Super Bowl, for all the Dallas out there, but like,
They did just win.
but I think the city in that movie of Philadelphia, the reason why they chose that place and not New York is because Philadelphia represents an underdog resiliency and it represents an underappreciation of sorts, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, shoot. How does the film's architectural aesthetic mirror the emotional tone and cultural context of the character's journey?
Well, there's a lot of symbolism in the movie, and I think the way that he designs his projects definitely set an emotional turn. Even the camera work in the movie, the camera work is I feel like is a character in itself in the film because the camera work shows like represents spaces of isolation, represents spaces of like there, especially there's this one scene where he's talking, you see him talking to his employer. The employer's on this side, he's on this side, but the camera focuses a wide shot on them talking. It represents the distance of their relationship. And I think, and I also think that like you'll see a lot of intimate. The camera work also shows a lot of intimate moments with his wife, like where there's a lot of close-ups with his wife. There's a lot of close-ups with like when they're together, and it shows like an emotional closeness or a lack of emotional closeness, like by doing that.
Yeah. You mentioned the camera work. I noticed a lot of that too, and I noticed that it was shot kind of like in a weird, like old stylistic type of view. What do you think it was shot on? Like what type of camera, or how did they get that feel for it?
I think it was shot on RE, if I'm not mistaken, but I think they shot it on film because it looked like it looked like to me that it was film all along. Unless unless I could be wrong, but unless they shot like they could have shot digitally and made it look like film. But I do think they shot it on film now, which was the right artistic choice.
Yeah,
so
no, for sure. Yeah, it gave it that like kind of old school vibe, you know?
Yeah, and I also think, if I might say, like I think that this movie is an important film for Adrian Brody because he won an Oscar over 20 years ago for being in the movie The Pianist, where he played an immigrant. Another great film where he played an immigrant who has special talents. So a lot of people could say, "Oh, he's just redoing what he did 20 years ago." Like, no, I don't think he's
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I also wouldn't say he's redoing it because both characters are very different. But I also think it's an important film for him because I feel like he lost a lot of appreciation as an actor after The Pianist because like he did a lot of movies after The Pianist and he's been around. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like people didn't appreciate him as much after he won that movie. And I feel like he's going to now regain, since he's about to win his second Oscar.
Yeah.
He's going to regain a certain appreciation that he lost all those years ago.
Yeah, and I honestly, I see another Oscar on the way.
Yeah.
So being honest.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Are there any underlying cultural or political messages that the audiences might overlook on the surface level?
Well, I think the fact that immigrants like had trouble getting like they might see relevance to it today because immigrants had trouble getting to America at this time, and I think when they came that they're like again there was a certain prejudice against them, which people might see that now because we see that with like not to get too political, we see that with like Donald Trump and the wall, like he's trying to stop people from coming over, and I think at this time immigrants were not respected, and I think them like a lot of people tried to prevent them from coming over, and I think even now like when immigrants come to America they're initially like scoffed at or laughed at, or they're like or people say to them, you don't belong here.
No, the whole immigrant thing and being accepted into a space of culture is it's tough to say the least. And you're right. I don't want to get too political or talk about Trump, but absolutely, it's a tough space. Which actor gave the most compelling performance, and how did they bring it to depth to the character? How did they bring depth to the character?
I think I think it's a toss-up between Adrian Brody and Guy Pearce, because the reason why I say both of them elevated their characters is because Adrian Brody, like you feel his pain, you feel every inch of his resiliency.
Yeah, he really goes in on that performance.
But you also have Guy Pearce, whose work cannot be ignored in this film, because Guy Pearce is a ruthless employer, and Guy Pearce will do anything to get his way, even if it means like sabotaging Adrian Brody's character. Even don't get me wrong, he gives Adrian Brody certain wiggle room to do what he wants, but when he's not happy with Adrian Brody's antics, or like to say the least, he gets all ruthless and gets all up in him. And then there's this one scene again. I don't want to give spoilers away. There's one scene that happens in the movie where Guy Pearce attempts to show his dominance over Adrian Brody, and the scene reflects like him trying to control this one man. And I think the performances are just very compelling. And again, it's a 3-hour movie, but I think what saves the movie, and this is obviously a compliment because it's 3 hours, what saves the movie is just you're engaged by these characters. You're rooting for Adrian Brody. You are disgusted by Guy Pearce, but at the same time, you're engaged by both of them all the way through.
I was curious. In the movie, his wife seems to play a big part of his life. Do you think he's truly in love with his wife in the film, or?
I think he is in love with his wife, but the problem is, I think they both suffered a lot during the war, and I think his wife has polio in the movie, and that puts a strain on their marriage, because they're not there's a disconnect because she has polio, and and he doesn't know how to respond, or he doesn't know how to interact with her in certain scenes.
Yeah, I don't know why I kind of got the vibe that he almost could live without her, or that he was just doing what he had to do to keep her alive, barely.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I think if she wasn't in his life, he would have been happy regardless. But I do think having the burden of being married and staying true to your soulmate, so to speak, that has a lot to do with the film.
Yeah, true that. Let's talk about sound design, and after that, I want to ask you about the score.
Oh, the sound design was brilliant. You really felt every moment. You felt the moments where they're sad. You felt the moments where he's working on his projects. You felt even the hard moments. The sound design is what really makes the film, because you have to understand that when he's working on his projects, you need to feel that sound. You need to feel the sound of everything going in motion. Yeah. And I think that the sound design all the way through really elevates the film. And I think by like you said, when he's working on those projects, you feel every sound, you feel every tick, you feel every motion, and even the quiet moments, you feel the sound design in those, because there's a lot of quiet moments in the movie, but the sound in those moments that makes you feel a certain way. You feel sad for these people. You feel you feel their isolation.
And the score, how did the music play a part in giving you that feeling, while you're watching the film?
Oh, the score, again, I know I keep using the word brilliant, but the score definitely elevates the film as well, because when you're watching it, there's a lot of moments where the music adds to the scene, and it adds there's moments where it adds tension, there's moments where it adds to the isolation, there's moments where you feel uplifted, and the music definitely it's almost like in Rocky, and the reason I'm comparing it to Rocky is because Rocky had a lot of upbeat music to motivate you, and I feel like this film has a lot of upbeat music to
keep you kind of
exactly, to keep you focused and motivated.
All right, guys. Well, that's our review of The Brutalist. Hopefully, you learned a little bit about the film without giving away too many spoilers.